This program is proudly brought to you by Sportingbet.
Now we've sorted out your bet about Lights of Heaven. We're going to have, of course, the Cup is the race where heroes are made, isn't it, Nick? Heroes win the Cup. So you're going to be Wonder Woman if Lights of Heaven does not run a place.
Okay, that's
No, I think we up the ante. I think we up the ante that doesn't win. Because I mean,
no, she went for it as her best Ruffy.
Yeah, but best if she doesn't win, because we'll get more people will watch if we're sitting here in a Wonder Woman outfit.
I did not back my Ruffy for a win. It is a place, and I will dress as Wonder Woman if it doesn't place.
I'm Nick Quinn, and welcome to Chewing the Fat's Melbourne Cup special. It's going to be a great show today as we preview the 151st running of the great race. Bauer, very unlucky to miss out. Niwat shot to the top of Cup's contention with a brilliant win on Saturday. Which horse will take home the famous race? We're going to go through and tell you why each of the 24 runners can and can't win. But first, a very warm welcome to my co-host, Edward Sadler. Edward, how are you?
Yeah, good, Nick. Always good to be here with you. A bit unusual to be here middle of the week, isn't it?
It is indeed. You must be pretty happy after Sister Madley's impressive victory.
Yeah, always great to get a win on Derby Day, isn't it? No, really happy for Dad and all the team at Malua.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations with that. And now I welcome the wonderful woman herself, Natalie Hunter. Natalie, how are you?
Oh, so well. I can't tell you how excited I am to be sitting here in costume when neither of you are.
You're in costume, are you? I didn't notice.
Please tell us a bit about why you're in costume.
Because I'll tell you why. Not a problem. Because I lost a bet. My Ruffy was actually came last in the race, which was Lights of Heaven. But I will have you know that I did pick the winner of the race.
It doesn't matter now.
But I did pick the winner, and I'm still here in costume, so I think that deserves 10 points.
Did you have to swallow your pride to put that one on?
It wasn't easy at all, and I feel pretty stupid, but I'm here.
Out of all the costumes in your wardrobe, is this the only one, though, you could wear and we would still keep the G rating?
It's the only costume in my wardrobe, I assure you, Nick. And it's not even in my wardrobe. It's not mine. It's hired, and it's going to be taken off after this first segment and another dress put on.
Well, Nat, I know loads of the blokes watching this show today will be loving seeing you in the Wonder Woman outfit, but there's one in particular who I think you need to send a cheerio to. He took you to Hawaii. Fiji, I should say, after all.
He did not take
Adam
me.
From Hamilton. What have you got to say to Hamilton?
Is this Wonder Woman thing? There you go, Adam. That is for you. And
no, you said you're going to blow him a kiss to the camera.
There you go, Adam. That's
You'd like
for
a
you.
flirtier kiss.
Enough is enough.
No,
Let's wrap it up. I'm getting changed.
That was the most half-hearted kiss I've ever seen.
He said he bought you breakfast and that's all you can do.
He did not. Show me what I should do then.
I'm not blowing a kiss to Adam from Hamilton.
We're trying to be respectable, racing journalists.
Wrap it up, Nick.
All right, so will you be in this for the rest of
No, I'll be getting changed right now.
Well, that's a motivation enough for the viewers to come back after the break and see that and our Melbourne Cup preview.
Sportingbet is built by punters for punters, so you get the very best experience. At Sportingbet, you can expect more from the latest in customised betting with black books, favourites and iForm. Plus, Sportingbet covers all the exotics, including trifectas, quinellas, exactas and first four. Bet fast online or at sbet.mobi on your mobile, anytime, anywhere. That's why there's no better bet than a Sportingbet.
Welcome back to Chewing the Fat. Now, let's have a look at the expected track conditions for Tuesday. The rail is true for the entire circuit and a dead 4 track rating. Rain's forecast from now until Tuesday, but the track raced very well Saturday, so fingers crossed there. Okay, race 7 is the Group 1 Emirates Melbourne Cup, over 3,200 metres and a cool $6 million up for grabs. Let's take a look at the field, and boys, you can maybe critique the horses as we go. Starting off with the favourite and going for back-to-back wins is Americain, ridden by Gerald Mosse, trained by Alain de Roya Dupre, carrying a weight of 58 kilos, barrier 15 and at $4.40.
Look, it's hard to fault its form, isn't it, coming into the race? I mean, terrific win at Moonee Valley, one of the fastest 400s run on Cox Plate Day. So I think it's hard to fault him. The only issue I have, Nick, I don't know why you got that cheeky grin on your face.
Is it cheeky?
But the only issue I have is history. Only 4 horses in a 150-year history of the race have won back-to-back cups.
Yeah, you're right. And you've only got to look back to Viewed, who won the Melbourne Cup, then won the Caulfield Cup, and looked almost a good thing to win back-to-back Melbourne Cups, and was putrid, really, in the Melbourne Cup. So it is very hard to do. Having said that, I think Americain is a better horse than Viewed, which is not a pot on Viewed, who won a Melbourne Cup and a Caulfield Cup. But what I really like about Americain is not just last year's Melbourne Cup, but the way he came back to Australia and brained them at Moonee Valley last start and didn't really appear to handle the track. So I think whatever beats him will win. Only
issue is he is up in weight, obviously, since last year. And so he gives some of these good horses weight.
A good price for a favourite, $4.40.
Any price is a good price if it's a winning price.
And last night at the barrier draw, we caught up with Kevin Bamford, owner of Americain.
Americain we know a little bit about. We saw him win last year and we saw him very impressive last start at Moonee Valley. Are you happy with the way he's travelling at the moment?
He's travelling very well. And so is Jukebox. But Americain we can't fault.
What about the barrier draw? Are you happy with the barriers they've drawn?
I would have liked it in closer, but yes, there was about 8 or 9 more on the outside, so what the hell. Yes, we're happy. We were 11 last year.
Number 2, the best stayer in Europe, Jukebox Jury, ridden by Neil Callan, trained by Mark Johnson, carrying a weight of 57 kilos, barrier 6, and at $11.
Form's very good, isn't it? I mean, he's a dead heat winner of the Irish St Leger. Sort of can compare him in a way, I think, to Vinnie Rowe, that sort of same, you know, coming through the Irish St Leger. I like what I saw of him at Werribee, and I think, you know, the St Leger is one of the top staying races in Europe, so on that form you have to take him into consideration. He did beat Red Cadeaux on that day.
Would you like to see the horses, though, have a run or maybe 2 runs here before going into the Cup?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think this is one thing I feel anyway with this year's Cup, is that it's hard to get a real handle on the form because, I mean, you at least have some expectations of the Cumani horses, Brian Allison's horses, because they've all had runs before they've raced, whereas a lot of these, you know, there's a heap of these internationals who are just here for the Cup, and as good as their international form may be, a lot of unknowns when they get here. Will they acclimatise? How have they settled in here? The different style of racing. There's so many variables. So yeah, I would have liked to have seen them have a run.
Do you know who this horse reminds me of?
Who?
Septimus. Came here with all the great form, everything like that, was just meant to come out and win, and went like a busted. And I don't.
But he wasn't. I think the difference is, look, I hope they learn from that example, because what Coolmore did, with all due respect to them, 3 years ago was arrogant. There's no other way of putting it other than that. You know, you can't ride horses here in a Melbourne Cup like you would in Europe. Completely different style of staying race, and you've got to adjust to it.
I agree.
And I hope Neil Callan, this is his first ride in a Melbourne Cup, I hope he looks at what other Europeans have done and tries to learn from it and adjust to the way Australian horses are ridden. Mark Johnson caught up with Chewing the Fat at the barrier draw.
Jukebox Jury's form overseas has been impeccable. Barrier 6 looks to be an absolutely ideal draw for him.
Yeah, his form's spot on. You couldn't wish for more. Obviously, the race that draws all the attention in the last couple of years is the Kergully. He won that. If we go back a few years to when I was last trying to win the Melbourne Cup, you'd have said the ideal race to win was the Irish Leger. He won that as well, so he's got the form. He's what everybody would think of as a European Cup horse.
Where would you like to see him in the run?
As prominent as possible, without being under serious pressure.
Number 3 is the second favourite and the Geelong Cup winner, Dunedin. The jockey is still to be confirmed. Mikel Dos Angles is the trainer, 54.5 kilos. That one's carrying barrier number 13, and it's $7.50.
Good win in the Geelong Cup, wasn't it, Nick? Only query as far as that race was the quality of what he beat, but still very impressive. Obviously, jockey, as you mentioned, that to be confirmed. VCAT will sort that one out. He was beaten 5.5 lengths in the Prix de Courgelet. My French isn't terrific, Nick, by Jukebox Jury. And he did beat American in France earlier in the year.
Absolutely. And you say that the Geelong Cup might not have been as strong as the year before, but Tamby's come out and won since. So I think it's always got to be a form line that's got to be respected. And I think obviously a clear chance in the big race.
Part owner of Dunedin, David Redfus, caught up with the Chewin the Fat cameras during the week.
You happy with the horse? You saw him for the first time this morning since you arrived. How do you think he's settled in?
I couldn't be happier. I mean, looks fantastic. He looks great in his coat, great in his skin, great in his eye. He's apparently not left a note. He's lost no weight. He just looks magnificent.
Geelong Cup was an outstanding race, and the form reference is very, very strong in this sort of race.
Yeah, I mean, Mikel said that he only, was going to be used as his final gallop for the Cup. So we were hopeful of a nice show, but to win like that really showed, I think, that we're in there with a big show.
Number 4 is Drunken Sailor, ridden by Dwayne Dunn, trained by Luca Cumani, carrying 54 kilos at barrier number 8 and sitting at $35. Good run in the Caulfield Cup, this one.
Yeah, agree with that. And of course, this horse did beat Jukebox Jury at Goodwood earlier in the year in the UK, so if you like Jukebox Jury, you have to have some consideration for Drunken Sailor.
Definitely. Ran well in Caulfield, will be better for the run. I think you need to have a run in Australia before going to the Melbourne Cup. I will ignoring all the horses for the multiples that haven't done that, but Drunken Sailor's one that has, and I think is a live chance.
I think you'd do that at your own peril.
Ooh, time will tell, young man.
We'll have to find out. Apparently you can also get a market net on whether Nick Quinn will leave Flemington on Tuesday like a Drunken Sailor.
Oh,
what do you think the odds are of that?
I think even money.
Oh, I think you're right. Black caviar of bets, that one.
Edward Sadler caught up with Sarah Cumani.
It's been well documented that Drunken Sailor is a bit of a notoriously lazy track worker. Is that a concern, or is that just part of the?
He is unbelievably bad at home. I don't know why. He doesn't seem to. The adrenaline gets going when he gets to the races, and no, this year when he won very well first time out in England. Before he won very well in Newbury, I can't remember when that was exactly, but he'd worked incredibly badly beforehand. Luke said, why on earth am I running the horse? And he ran and he won very well. So the worse he works, the better he runs, usually.
Back to form last Saturday with an all-the-way win, but the distance is a little bit of a query for number 5, Glass Harmonium, ridden by Lisa Kropp, trained by Mike Moroney, carrying 54 kilos in barrier number 23 and paying $41.
He's had a really good campaign this spring, this horse. He's very honest, apart from Cox Plate Day, but we can forgive that. A return to form on Saturday in the McKinnon, very impressive victory. But I don't think he'll get the 3,200. He will go forward and he probably will make it a true staying test, Nick, but not for me.
Look, he was very tough in the McKinnon. Natalie, you tipped him to win the McKinnon, didn't you?
Yes, I did, in fact.
That's right.
I did. I picked the winner and the loser.
And what was the loser?
The loser was Lights of Heaven. It came actually last.
And you had to wear the Wonder Woman suit.
Yeah.
That's right, yes. How could I forget? But no,
Yeah.
Glass Harmonium, I think, has done everything right, is tough, deserves to be in the field, will ensure there's a genuine tempo, but not a winning chance for mine.
And Lisa Kropp obviously chasing a piece of Melbourne Cup history. If she wins, she'll become the first female jockey to ever win the Cup. Caught up with Mike Moroney at the barrier draw. This is what he had to say.
Not much luck with the barrier draw though here tonight.
Yeah, I think it's the right place actually, strange enough, because he's actually going to be probably the leader in the race, you would think. He can take his time to get across, whether you draw 1, 2 or 3. If you miss it slightly, well, it's all over for you, whereas if you draw out a bit, well, you can, 1,200 metre straight run, you've got a chance to get across, so.
Number 6, Managa, one of 3 horses to return and race in the Cup after racing in it last year, ridden by Damien Oliver, trained by Luca Cumani, carrying 54 kilos in barrier number 21 and paying $41.
I don't think he's got the turn of foot. I think he's a good chance for place in your exotics. I don't think he can win though.
Oh, I disagree, Edward. I think this horse is a real chance at big odds. Hit the line really nicely in the Caulfield Cup and will be better for the extra distance and the run. Damien Oliver takes the ride. We don't need to go over how brilliant Damien is in this particular race, the Melbourne Cup. I think the $41 is over the odds. I think if you like it, snap up the fixed odds, because a lot of mums and dads out there will back it because Oliver's on, and a lot of astute judges will say this horse is going to get a nice card into the race, can make a long sustained run and will be right there in the finish.
Chewing the Fat caught up with Sarah Cumani to discuss the chances of Manigar in this year's Cup.
I think Manigar's run in the Corporate Cup was the best. He was fourth. He definitely wants further. I think this track will suit him. He's also having blinkers for the first time, which I think might help him concentrate a little bit.
The former American galloper at number 7, unusual suspect. The jockey still to be confirmed. Mick Kent, the trainer of this one, 54 kilos it will be carrying, barrier number 7 and paying $35.
Group 1 winner in America, over 2,400 metres. The furthest ever raced over there was over 2,800 metres. I've liked his runs, look, 2 of his 3 runs that he's had over here, and the data I like that first up. Had issues, he was apparently galloped on in the Cranbourne Cup and thought he was one of the better runs from a Melbourne Cup perspective. Nick in the Caulfield Cup, and at odds, he's my roughie for this year's Cup.
Jeez, okay, I probably couldn't disagree more, Edward, with all due respect. They don't train stayers in America. It's all about the sprint racing and whatnot.
Same as here, though.
And do you see any Australian horses at the top of the Melbourne Cup market?
No, I don't. But
thank you for good food.
Since 1993, there's been, what, 4 internationals to win the Cup?
So would you say he's an international or an Australian?
We'll claim him if he runs well.
Exactly, that's what I was going to get that in. So, but no, I can't see this horse winning. I think there's a lot of better chances in the race, and I think good luck to those for rolling the dice and purchasing 40% and having a runner in the Melbourne Cup, which is obviously going to be a huge thrill, but not a winning chance for
We
mine.
might have to have a tats ticket on Manigar or unusual suspect.
You're on for as much as you can afford to get on board.
Right, I'll buy a $3 tats ticket then.
Number 8, Fox Hunt, ridden by Sylvester de Souza. This is Mark Johnson's second runner. The weight, it will be carrying 53.5 kilos. Barrier number 19 and paying $31.
Winner of the Germanson Ledger at his most recent start. Obviously yet to race here in Australia. He finished 6th, beaten 3.5 lengths by Moines Kenisha in the E-Ball, which is probably a good form reference as far as how we bring him into calculations for this year's Cup. I think he's the second stringer.
Once again, it's very hard. I mean, how can we sit here and assess how they're travelling and how they're going when we haven't seen them? Hard. I don't, as I said, I'm going to take a stance against the horses that haven't had a run here, and Fox Hunt falls into that category.
I still think you're doing that at your own peril.
Ooh.
Busking in the streets like the Drunken Sailor after the Cup, that's my bet.
Okay, we caught up with Mark Johnson, didn't we?
Yes, this is what he had to say about the chances of Fox Hunt.
We wondered whether Fox Hunt would get into the race. Clearly we didn't need to worry. You know, different horses, very different kinds of horses. One, the group horse, stepping back to first handicap of his life, perhaps, I think. The other one having worked his way up through handicaps. So, different horses, and maybe it's good to have 2 shots with a different kind of animal.
Let's take a break. You're watching Chewing the Fat thanks to Sportingbet. And don't forget, for all the latest odds, go to sportingbet.com.au.
Sportingbet is built by punters for punters, so you get the very best experience. At Sportingbet, you can expect more from the latest in customised betting with black books, favourites and iForm. Plus, Sportingbet covers all the exotics, including trifectas, quinellas, exactas and first four. Bet fast online or at sbet.mobi on your mobile, anytime, anywhere. That's why there's no better bet than a Sportingbet.
Welcome back to Chewing the Fat. We are in part 2 of our Melbourne Cup preview. We're up to Lucas Kranich at number 9. A little bit of an injury cloud over this one. Ridden by Corey Brown, trained by Anthony Friedman, carrying 53.5 kilos, barrier number 11 and paying $10.
Absolutely, and I think this horse is probably the most interesting runner in the field, the former German horse who came out here, purchased by Lee and trained by brother Anthony. Anthony's first Melbourne Cup runner, and ran a bottler in the Caulfield Cup, was fantastic. Corey Brown takes the ride. The Brown and Friedman combination have a long and successful history, so I think Lucas Kranich will be right in the finish.
And of course, Corey did win the Melbourne Cup 2 years ago on shocking. Lee just mentioned that this was the first time the Freedmans have had a runner in the Cup since Maccabi Diva won it in 2005. So they obviously haven't had one good enough since then, but I think he's a live chance. He is my pick for the race.
No, I'm entitled to agree with you that he'll be right in the finish there.
What about the injury?
I think, look, spoke to Lee last night and he basically said the horse is over that, but it meant that Caulfield Cup run was so good because it did have those injury issues. I spoke to Lee last night. This is what he had to say.
Lee, Melbourne Cup Day on Tuesday. It's a race. You've been there and done that 5 times. Must be excited bringing Lucas Kranich here on Tuesday.
Well, it is, Edward, because I haven't had a runner in the race since Mackaybe's third Cup in 2005. So it's been a long 6 years, and I'm happy to have a runner again. Well, my brother was happy to have a runner again.
Must have been happy with the way the horse is drawn too.
Yeah, look, I don't think draws are all that important. I don't think you want extreme inside or extreme outside draws in the Melbourne Cup. Kind of those middle draws are pretty good, so I'm happy with that.
It's been well documented. He's had a few little issues since he's come here. How is he?
He's very well, actually. His issues are well and truly under control. The vets have passed him. I'm happy with him. The horse is in good form, good spirit, so we expect a good run Tuesday.
Number 10, Moran, the first of Lloyd Williams' runners, ridden by Hugh Bowman, trained by Robert Hickmott, 53.5 kilos. It will be carrying barrier number 14 and paying $16.
I think Lloyd's had a bit of bad luck this spring carnival. A few of his big chances, such as Green Moon and Linton, just probably haven't lived up to expectations. Green Moon was terrible on Saturday. Linton was going to be in the Cox Plate in the Melbourne Cup and is instead going around in the 1700 metre handicapped tomorrow. So, been a disappointing carnival, but if Lloyd can win the Melbourne Cup, that's all he cares about. And people have got to remember that all these Lloyd Williams horses have been aimed at one race and one race only, and that's the Melbourne Cup. So, Moran, honest, consistent, but as I said, don't be surprised to see the blue silks of Lloyd's horses charging home at the business end.
And of course, Lloyd's already won the Melbourne Cup on 3 occasions. I liked the run of Moran yesterday in the McKinnon. I thought it very good. He seems to run really well the Flemington too, obviously winner of the Bart Cummings. And prior to then, his Melbourne form wasn't really that good. He seemed to save his best for the trips up to Sydney, but I'm inclined to leave him out.
Okay, first of the Cummings runners, number 11, Precedence, ridden by Darren Beeman, trained by Bart Cummings, 53.5 kilos. It will be carrying barrier number 2 and paying $35.
And there's a zero missing from that price. It should be paying $350. This horse is going terribly. This time last year was a live chance in the race. Jamie Winks rode it on Cup Day and Bart wasn't overly complimentary of the ride afterwards. He hasn't ran the same since Precedence. He's been very disappointing this spring. If it wasn't a Beedman-Cummings combination, you'd just treat the horse like a scratching, and I'm going to do that anyway.
Couldn't agree with you more, and just from a historical perspective, obviously these two combined to win the Cup with Saintly 15 years ago.
Okay, number 12, Red Cadeaux. Likes a wet track. It's going to be ridden by Michael Rodd, trained by Ed Dunlop. 53.5 kilos. It'll be carrying barrier number 16 and paying $31.
A thing with the internationals, I know one of our better judges at work has a theory that he doesn't mind taking them on if they're favourites, but he always throws the roughies in. And if you go through the last few years of the Melbourne Cup, there always has been an international that doesn't have very good form, but has ran, second, third, fourth or fifth at cricket score odds. Could be this horse.
Well, just looking back historically, Nick, since 1998, apart from in 2000 and 2005, there's always been an international who's either won the race or finished in placing, so you really have to include them.
What have you got on those notes there? You got all these interesting stats on it. Next week I need to pinch yours, I reckon.
Red Cadeaux finished behind Jukebox during the Irish St Ledger, which is a good form reference coming into this race. No, we'll get the trip. Needs rain, but look at the weather outside. It's been pretty wet lately, so I think it's definitely one of the better internationals for a place chance, I think. Don't think he'll win, though. Caught up with Ed Dunlop. Here's his thoughts on Red Cadeaux.
You saw the horse for the first time this morning since you arrived. Were you happy?
Yeah, he did a piece of work this morning after all the rain we had yesterday. He looks great. The team have done a good job. His work went well. We're very happy.
And what do you make of all this here at Flemington?
It's big, it's noisy, and it's fun.
Now, come Tuesday, you happy with the barrier?
We've chosen a very good local jockey. I let him do the draw, take the pressure off all of us. He's happy with the draw, so we're happy.
Number 13, Hawke Island, one of the outside chances in the race, ridden by Glyn Schofield, trained by Chris Waller. 53 kilos it will be carrying, barrier number 18, and paying $101.
Yes, well, I mean, obviously it's got a lot of things against it, including carrying barrier 18. But look, Chris Waller's just training so well at the moment. He's winning everything. Hawke Island doesn't appear to be good enough, but at 100 to 1, I'm certainly not going to sit here and pot the Chris Waller runner, because who knows, could come out and blow us away.
And look, Chris was very to the point when interviewed him at the barrier draw. He basically said, look, their two horses are outside chances realistically. But if we do get rain, as has been forecast, and as we're currently getting, that really increases the horse's chances. This is more of what Chris had to say.
Hawke Island, drawn 18, your thoughts on that?
If we don't get rain, I'd probably go back and ride him conservatively. He got caught 3 and 4 wide in the Metropolitan, where he ran second, and also in the Caulfield Cup he got caught 3 wide. So I don't like to be too hard on my horses for too long. He deserves a bit of peace, so maybe conservative approach would help him, and if he can run into the race from there, if good enough, he's in the prize money.
Does he need rain to be his best?
He sure does. He's won on good tracks as well, however he excels where others fail on wet tracks, so yeah, the wetter the better for him.
Number 14, Illo. This is Bart Cummings' German-bred runner. It's going to be ridden by Jim Cassidy. It'll be carrying 53 kilos in barrier number 1 and paying $15.
This is definitely Bart's better chance of winning his 434th Melbourne Cup. This horse was super in the Moonee Valley Cup when Luke Nolan probably didn't have his greatest ride for the day, although that's a big call because his ride on King's Rose wasn't much better. But this horse kept hitting the line nicely, will be better for the run, will be better over the extra distance of the 3,200 metres. Could Bart do it again?
Just from putting your Herald Sun on hat, Nick, from a story perspective, how big would it be if Bart won the Cup?
Oh, it'd be huge. It'd be bigger than Texas. Bart's a columnist for the Herald Sun, so it'd be great to have him go through all the emotions involved and stuff like this. And people sort of look at Bart and say he doesn't give much away, and sometimes that's the case, but he is very emotional when it comes to this sort of things. And there's the famous quote after he cried when Saintly won the Melbourne Cup and he blamed it on the hay fever. I would be stunned if there wasn't a tear in the great man's eye should he win tomorrow's Melbourne Cup.
We'll finish third, of course, to American in the Moonee Valley Cup, coming into this race with pretty good form. American, obviously, top horse, and I think Tullamore, talk about him more later, but one of the better local horses.
Oh, and Jimmy Cassidy takes the ride after Luke Nolan took the ride on Shamrocker over this horse, which was somewhat surprising. Maybe his manager was getting a better sling, who knows?
Number 15, Lost in the Moment, one of 2 Godolphin runners. William Buick will be riding this one. Former Dubai policeman Said bin Saror has trained this one, and it will be carrying 53 kilos in barrier number 3 and paying $35.
Natalie said she likes a man in uniform, so she might be having a few sneaky dollars each way on this one. Hard to judge.
Sports uniform as well as normal other uniforms.
You too.
Play on.
Play on, says the umpire.
Lost in the Moment has good form, but if I had to pick one of the 2 from the stable, I'd probably go with the stablemate.
I'd agree with you there, but just looking back at his form, I think the Ebor is always, well, it always has been a good form reference from the European horses into the Cup. He finished 7th in that race behind Moines Kenisha, and did finish 2nd in the Goodwood Cup over 3,200 metres. And he beat Fox Hunt on that occasion.
Speaking of the stablemate, he's at number 16, Moden, ridden by Kieran McAvoy and, of course, trained by Said bin Saror. 53 kilos he'll be carrying, barrier number 5 and paying $21.
Yes, well, this horse is thrown in at the weights. I know Kieran McAvoy was delighted to get the ride on him. Kieran's riding brilliantly, as we saw at Flemington on Saturday, winning 20 out of 10 rides on Galar and Sepoy got over the line there. So it's good when a jockey's up on confidence and riding well, and this horse does appear a massive chance.
As you mentioned, he's a lightly raced horse. He finished 4th in the Ebor and coming off a win at Kempton Park in September, Group 3 level over 2,400 metres. A massive horse, 17 hands. He's been working well at Werribee. We caught up with Said bin Saror to talk about both of the Godolphin runners for the 2011 Emirates Melbourne Cup.
Said, great to see you back in Melbourne. How have the horses settled in?
Well, the horses, they travel from England to here really well. And since when they arrive here, they look in good form, good condition. They worked 2 days ago over 7 furlongs, and they work really well. You know, they come back after the work really in good condition, good health, and today was fresh and happy. They do normal exercise for them today. The barrier draw it will suit both of them. You know, lots of the moment he likes to come from behind, and if I see Moden, he's in the middle, I'll be happy with him.
Now we forecast for a bit of rain on Tuesday. Is that going to suit your two?
The important for both horses, I think if that's good ground, I think it will be great for them.
And the wide expanses of Flemington, the 2 mile, that won't be a problem?
No problem. He's lots of the moment he stayed the 2 miles, he ran in the past, and more than 1.5 miles. I think, you know, 2 miles, I think it will suit both of them.
And don't forget to view all the trainers' interviews in full. Go to victorianstallions.tv/news. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll preview the remainder of the field for the 2011 Emirates Melbourne Cup.
Sporting Bet is built by punters for punters, so you get the very best experience. At Sporting Bet, you can expect more from the latest in customised betting with black books, favourites and iForm. Plus, Sporting Bet covers all the exotics, including trifectas, quinellas, exactas and first four. Bet fast online or at sbet.mobi on your mobile, anytime, anywhere. That's why there's no better bet than a Sporting Bet.
Austbrokers Bloodstock. For horse owners, by horse owners. With all the answers to protect your investment, Austbrokers work for you to provide the right cover and the best value. And most importantly, they're in your corner when you make a claim. Austbrokers' business is built around relationships. That's why our clients have been with us for so long. Horses are not just our business, they're our life. Why not talk to one of our team today? Call us on 029 570 8355 or go to our website bloodstockinsurance.com.au. Austbrokers, young faces, years of experience.
Welcome back to Chewing the Fat's preview of the 2011 Emirates Melbourne Cup. We are up to the final 8 horses, starting with number 17 at First Sight, who had a big run in the Bendigo Cup, ridden by Stephen King and trained by Robert Hickmont. 52.5 kilos it will be carrying out of barrier number 10 and paying $15.
Another from the Lloyd Williams camp, Stephen King won this race on Let's Elope way back 1990, I'm pretty sure. You might know Ned, I wasn't around in those days.
I do remember that one.
Terrific run in the Bendigo Cup, and then before then ran in the Naturalism, and I ran in December Draw to a half length, which is, I think, good form coming into this race. If December Draw didn't break down in the Caulfield Cup, who knows, he would be a live chance in this race. He did finish second in the Epsom Derby also last year, so one of the more quality imports coming over here. I think he's a live chance, but I'm not tipping him.
Not tipping him. I think he's easily Lloyd's best chance of winning the race. Was super at Bendigo last start when chased home Tanby but just ran out of ground. Will relish the extra distance. Was good the start before that. I think if someone said which one of Lloyd's horses will be first across the line, I'd say whatever odds you can give me on that First Sight, I'll bet and bet big.
It would be good if Sporting Bet put a market on that. Who's going to be the best of Lloyd's? But look, I agree with you there. I think he's the better of the two.
All right, number 18, Moines Kenisha, ridden by Brett Pebble, trained by Brian Ellison. It will be carrying 52 kilos out of barrier 17 and paying $26.
Scratched on Saturday, no issues with the horse apparently, according to Brian Ellison. They were just sort of hoping that they'd give him a rest and that he wouldn't get into the Cup. And look, that panned out well because he is in the Cup. Terrific run in the Herbert Power, winner of the Ebor. He's my roughie.
Doesn't he deserve a change of luck? You can have 2 in the Melbourne Cup. There's 24 horses, but doesn't Brian Ellison deserve a change of luck after what he's been through all these years with no luck having a runner in the Melbourne Cup, and now he's got 2 live chances?
I don't know about Sapped A Party as a live chance, but definitely Moines Kenisha. You're right about that. I mean, this is his 3rd trip out to Melbourne for the Cup and his first time that he has actually had a runner in it.
Okay, let's have a look at number 19 before we speak to Brian Ellison. Number 19 is Sapped A Party, of course trained by Brian Ellison and ridden by Chris Simons, carrying 52 kilos out of barrier number 22 and paying $101.
He just hasn't done enough for me in 2 runs here.
Probably not, but you know, we'll run the trip out well. Might be one of those ones if you're having a bet on a top 10 market or something like that, might be one to look at, because I think the horse will run well, but I don't think has the ability to run in the top half dozen.
I'd rather a top 20 for him. But anyway, this is what Brian Ellison had to say about his 2 runners for this year's Melbourne Cup.
Now, I don't think anyone would begrudge you a change of luck here after what's happened in years gone by, but just to have 2 runners, it must be a great feeling.
Oh, it's unreal. It's absolutely unreal. And the draw doesn't matter. Nothing matters now. All I've got to do the next 3 days is keep them right. The work this morning, the great form, delighted with them, and just hope nothing goes wrong for the next 3 days. So.
Now, the barriers aren't really going to matter so much. They both go back horses, but what about a wet track? How would that affect them?
No, it doesn't matter. Well, especially with Moines Kenisha, because he loves it on the wet tracks. So.
Would you like to see plenty of speed on?
Well, when you go back, you do want speed. But I think with Glass Harmonium and Jukebox Jury, who were national front runners, I think there'll be plenty of speed on too.
Number 20, Shamrocker, ridden by Luke Nolan, trained by Dan O'Brien, carrying 52 kilos in barrier number 24, just near the car park, and paying $51.
You'll be in the car park, won't you, Nat, with the champagne in one hand and the shoes in the other?
And Shamrocker next to me.
Oh, there we go.
Look, she was a terrific 3-year-old filly. She won the Oaks, won the Derby, I should say, probably could have won the Oaks, finished second in both the AJC and the VRC equivalents of the race, but she just hasn't carried that form to spring as a mare.
No, she's going terribly. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last time we see her at the races.
And
well, it's
no,
she can be a mother,
I think the only way you can win money on Shamrocker is if you draw in the sweep and she finishes last.
What I meant was she might be retired to be a mare after this because it doesn't appear
she might go into bigger and better things.
That's right.
Greener pastures. Okay, number 21, the Verminator, ridden by Craig Newitt and trained by Chris Waller. 52 kilos it will be carrying out of barrier number 4 and paying $126.
Can't have him.
Yeah. I think both the Waller horses, it would be surprised to see them win, but they're good, honest horses, and it's nice to see them going round.
Let's hear what Chris Waller had to say about the Verminator.
And the Verminator drew 4?
Yeah, perfect draw. Just means you can get there and not spend too much petrol and have a bit for the finish. He's won a Group 1 2400 metre race. The big test for him is the 2 miles, and I guess if he gets the 2 miles, he's a chance. If he doesn't get the 2 miles, he'll be just another runner, but deserves a spot in the field, and it's great to see that he's got a run.
Number 22, Tullamore, one of 2 of Gai Waterhouse's runners, ridden by Chris Muntz, carrying 52 kilos, barrier number 12, and paying $19.
I think he's the best of the local horses in the race. Good second behind American in the Moonee Valley Cup, and the week before a very good run in the Caulfield Cup as well. I think Gay's got him peaking at the right time, and it'd be nice to see Gay, one of the more successful horse trainers in modern history, cap it off with a Melbourne Cup win.
I couldn't agree more with you. That's probably the smartest thing you have ever said on this program. You've summed it up beautifully. Last 2 starts has given every indication will be stronger and fitter over more ground. I love the fact that didn't go around on Saturday and was safe for the Cup. And from number 22, an omen bet for myself, because that's how I tell girls I am on a Saturday night.
And he is a Brisbane Cup winner from the winter, so we know he's got, what it takes to win at this sort of level. The Brisbane Cup's a step down from the Cup, but still he has got form to win. And a lot of horses have, in fact, come from that Brisbane Winter Carnival and been successful.
Dude.
Exactly.
All right, let's have a look at number 23, Nia Watt, trained by Team Hawks, ridden by Dean Yendall, carrying 51 kilos out of barrier number 9 and paying $17. This one's a good one.
81 into that $17 quote, Nick. So plenty of punters jumping out of trees to back this horse. Great win at Flemington on Saturday in the Lexus.
Did you have to look twice at which horse it was that was bolting away like that?
Because that's what I thought. I actually watched the race with my grandma, and she said, "Who's that in front?" And I thought Niwot, and then I thought, no, can't be Niwot. And then looked again, and yes, it was Niwot. He has won at Flemington, the Andrew Ramsden over 3,200. So I think he's one that will finish in the top half dozen, because at least he can stay the trip. He loves the track. Also ran in the Bart Cummings and finished behind Moran, but I don't think he's got the class to win the Cup.
And down the weight too.
That's a big help in that as well, but I still think he doesn't have the class.
Jeez, he was fantastic Saturday. I'm not going to say anything outlandish like he can't win. There's others I've got ahead of him.
I think he definitely has a chance. I'm not writing him off completely, but I'm just saying you look at Jukebox Jury, American, Lucas Kranich.
And I know you're going to write off the last horse though, Nat.
All right, let's have a look at the lucky last. Older Than Time at number 24. Ridden by Tim Clark, trained by Gai Waterhouse, carrying 51 kilos, barrier number 20, and paying $151. The rank outsider here.
She was awful. wasn't she?
She was. No, she was very disappointing on Saturday. However, I do give her an each-way chance in the Cup. I think the wide barrier will be a blessing in disguise because she'll have to go back.
Just take that again. Now talk not out of your pocket on this horse.
No, I think she's alive. I think she's got a good chance at massive odds in the race. She'll go back from last.
What were you putting in Nick's drinks then?
Yeah, I did see some spirits floating around the room.
Well, I'll be full of spirits if this horse could run a big race because I'll be saying I told you so. As I was saying before Edward was interrupting, we'll go back from the wide gate and be forced to come with one run. I think that will suit more. All the leaders capitulated in that race on Saturday. Green Moon, Older Than Time, they just punctured. And Midnight Martini, who was disappointing as well. So I think get back, run on. Don't be surprised.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to wrap up all our selections, including our best bets and roughies. But first, let's hear from some of the connections about their thoughts on their biggest dangers. You're watching Chewing the Fat, thanks to Sporting Bet.
Aside from your horse, who's the best in the race?
Well, I think you've got to respect American. He's a big horse. He'll probably carry the 58 all right. He's in form. He would be the one that would worry me most.
Dunaden, I think he's in good form.
Is that the French just sticking together?
No, but I think he's in good form and he improved a lot also.
I'd be worried about Jukebox Jury. I think he's got a lot of weight to carry, but he's a very good horse. And he's a dual Group 1 winner and he mustn't be underestimated. Mark Johnson is a master at this, and he would be my number one concern. Obviously, American's got... is a very good horse, and I saw him this morning. He's in the next door box to Dunedin, and he looks magnificent. But he looks better apparently than he's looked all year.
Being stable next door to the two French horses, they look the ones to beat.
Well, it looks like open race really, but I like Americana. I think he's the horse to beat in the race.
Drunken Sailor is the horse that bothers me on just on bare handicap ratings at home. He's the best in.
I think from Jukebox. But anyway, there's 22 others, and one of them strikes form on the day, and I don't know the form for all of them, so I can't tell you who the real dangers are. I think they're all a danger.
Obviously the two French horses, but I have a lot of respect for Jukebox Jury. But it's a handicap, and probably any horse could win. It looks very open.
Sapped A Party in Moines Kenisha. That's all I care about, my two horses, and I believe I've got the best two horses out of the Europeans.
Sporting Bet is built by punters for punters, so you get the very best experience. At Sporting Bet, you can expect more from the latest in customised betting with black books, favourites and iForm. Plus, Sporting Bet covers all the exotics, including trifectas, quinellas, exactas and first four. Bet fast online or at sbet.mobi on your mobile, anytime, anywhere. That's why there's no better bet than a Sporting Bet.
Welcome back to the business end of Chewing the Fat. Let's have a look at everybody's top 4 and roughy selections for the Cup. Okay, starting off with you, Nick. You've gone for American, Lucas Kranich and Tullamore, and then Managar. Edward, you've gone for Lucas Kranich, American, Jukebox Jury, and then Tullamore. And I have gone for American, Managar, Lucas Kranich, and Drunken Sailor.
The connections of Lucas Kranich would be very happy with us. We've all
gone.
Included him. As far as roughies go, I've gone for Unusual Suspect. Really liked he's running the Caulfield Cup, as I mentioned. But if I could have 2 roughies, I'd have him and Moines Kenisha.
Would you really? Okay, what about you, Nick?
Oh, I think Older Than Time can run a sneaky race at monster odds. But apart from that, I think it's going to be a great race won by a superstar American.
Okay, well, my best roughie is Niawat. There you go. Well, I will not be making any bold selections this week, except that Tuesday will be a great day. And I do suggest that you all get out there either on Tuesday or otherwise Stakes Day to see Black Caviar.
Yes, that will be absolutely outstanding. Now, Edward Sadler's done such a tremendous job tipping on this show, we've decided to go and recruit his older brother, Lockie, to take us through his thoughts on the Cup. Welcome, Lockie.
Thank you for having me here, Nick.
No, my pleasure. Thank you for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule. Now, looking at the Melbourne Cup, have you got a winner for all the viewers out there?
Yeah, I'm going with American. He's proven and he's got a very good jockey.
Absolutely. You can't argue with that combination and did win the race last year.
Yes.
Now, what about for a roughie? Do you like one as well at a bit of odds?
Yes, I'm going with Drunken Sailor. I don't really like the horse, but I do like Francesca.
Oh, you little slitherer. That's outstanding.
Lucky, who do you like better, Francesca or getting the day off school Tuesday? What's better for you?
Francesca.
He's only 9, but he's already thinking like a true man. Now, you're next to the lovely Natalie now. Do you have any questions for Natalie?
Would you ever date a younger man?
If you're talking about you, definitely.
Well, Nick, I actually have a question for you.
Do you now?
I hear you know Francesca. Could you introduce me?
Absolutely not, because you're much better dressed than I am, so you'd outshine me.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. That's it for this week's show. We leave you with some of the colour from Derby Day and the 2011 Emirates Melbourne Cup barrier draw. You've been watching Chewing the Fat, thanks to Sporting Bet.
This program is proudly brought to you by Sporting Bet.
This has been a Thorough Media production.